However, what the Indiana Fever has just done may just start a revolution in the WNBA. This is not the usual season review that you will be reading from us. What we are about to explore has every fan and analyst abuzz. Lexie Hull, who was adjudged to be out of the game, has proven all the critics wrong, draining threes with a 70% shooting average from the perimeter. We are discussing a man who was an ordinary citizen and a mere bench warmer, and in a few weeks was able to become a game changer. If you asked anyone if the Fever was going to make it into the playoffs, they would tell you no, but that's where they are now. But then there is Caitlin Clark. Best known for her insane basketball IQ and her precise passes, she's not just a rookie sensation but a player who raises the level of everyone on the court. Averaging 18.4 points and 8. This year, the Fever has one of the best players in the game in Brianne January, who is averaging 3 assists per game. It is hard not to notice that this Fever team is on the rise. She is a leader in the making, and her leadership is spreading across the entire team. It's no longer just a team of contenders, but a team that can cause an upset. More fascinating is how this newfound energy is shifting the whole paradigm of the team. All thanks to Hull's defensive spirit to the chemistry between Clark and other teammates, this Fever team is no longer only about the individual prowess but a combinatorial brilliance of the team. It is not just noise they are making, but they are making a statement as they have won 8 out of their last 10 games. This is an exciting moment because the Indiana Fever turned the Indiana Fever WNBA season on its head. It's almost unbelievable that Lexie Hull has been on this team for only a year, and Caitlin Clark has taken the lead in this team. In today's video, we're taking a look at the scorching hot players that have the Fever ready for the playoffs and see how these young talents are changing the face of women's basketball. Now that you know why no one expected this team to be doing well, and why everyone is suddenly discussing the Fever, let's get into the details of it. Recent games by Indiana Fever have been quite thrilling, and specific players like Lexie Hull have emerged as potential stars in the team, while Caitlin Clark plays pivotal role also. As the Fever is playing through the season, it is important to see how these changemakers have altered the team and the WNBA as a whole. Hold on tight because the Fever are heating up. It is hard to overstate just how much Lexie Hull has done for the Fever in the last few games. Hull played one of the best games in the season, scoring 6 out of 7 shots, which was considered as an almost perfect result in the WNBA. However, Hull's contribution does not stop at the level of one game only. She has been the go-to player in the recent turn of events for the betterment of the team Indiana Fever. Having had a poor start to the season and registering as many as 17 losses, the Fever have since then performed incredibly and are winners of 8 out of the last 10 matches. Thus, Hull's clutch plays and the ability to score important points has revived the team and made it a playoff team. This has been one of the best comebacks of the season in the WNBA, and Hull has been on fire. If she continues this way, the Fever will make it very difficult for the opposing teams to contain them. It is more inspiring if we look at Lexie Hull, who has undergone a dramatic change of form in this season. At the beginning of the year, Hull had to sit on the bench, and she was not in a good form at all. But something switched on in August, and she has since become one of the most potent scorers for the Fever with a stunning 70% shooting from the three-point line. It is not only that she has become a much more effective goal scorer. Hull also has proved to be a defensive player of note as she brings a lot of zeal and commitment in enhancing the defensive services of the Fever. She can also switch on to different positions, grab rebounds, and make timely steals that has made her gain the affection of many people and her teammates. The question now is, how will Hull manage to stay in this kind of shape as Fever moves closer towards the playoff zone? Based on all the indications, the answer is yes, and if she does come, the Fever will be a force to reckon with in the playoffs. However, it is impossible to ignore the impact that Caitlin Clark has made in the Indiana Fever, especially with Lexie Hull. Clark, a new player in the WNBA, is already scoring an average of 18 points in every game. 4 points and 8.3 assists per game. She is an excellent playmaker, has great court vision, and is a leader on the court for the Fever, and she is still young. Clark's performance is great, but the most important is how she manages to improve the entire team. She has got the ability to transfer her energy to other teammates and also know when and how to place her fellow players. Whether it's spot-up jumper for Hull or driving to the paint to create space for teammates, Clark's playing time on the floor makes the Fever a more threatening offensive team. That may be why Caitlin Clark is excited about Lexie Hull's recent games, because Clark has also contributed to this surge with her outstanding performance. The chemistry between these two players cannot be denied, and Clark's leadership is one of the reasons that Hull is doing so well. This is what is happening with the Fever at the moment. Each player is developing individually, and this translates into the team's victory. Of course, Lexie Hull's evolution and Caitlin Clark's reiteration of potential are helping everyone get better. The stakeholders are taking their places. The reserves are actually making a positive impact to the game. This has therefore led to the team being confident due to the high level of performance compared to the previous performance. The Fever, who were considered as the underdog for quite some time now, have emerged as one of the most entertaining and fierce team in the WNBA. It's not just one or two influencers either. It's a change in the entire team's mindset. The Fever is in the process of building a culture that is characterized by commitment, trust, and perseverance. With each victory, their confidence and theirs in each other only becomes stronger and stronger. It is this type of growth that could see the team advance to deep into the playoffs. The Fever that has been performing so well this season is not an accident. It is a model on how the WNBA team can be built. Fever's roster management, players' progression, and the emergence of Lexie Hull and Caitlin Clark have placed the team in a beneficial spot going forward. In the future, it is expected that the Fever will remain one of the strongest teams of the WNBA league. They have a young team, and at the same time, the team has its leaders which create the necessary synergy on the field. And with Hull and Clark at the front of this team is prepared to make a deep run in the playoffs. The fans of the Fever have all the reason to be optimistic about the future of the team. This season's turnaround of the team is an indication that they are headed in the right direction, and the playoffs are just the start of something big. The Indiana Fever can be considered one of the best teams in the WNBA after a very difficult season, and that's quite impressive. The emergence of Lexie Hull from the bench to a star and Caitlin Clark's performance at all times have shifted this team in a very positive way. Altogether, they created the culture of victory, and the Fever is now a team that is increasingly gaining its recognition. As the playoffs approach, one thing is clear. It is not just to be present on the court. The Fever are here to win. Both Hull and Clark are really coming into their own, and with them, Indiana basketball is looking up, and this year could just be the start of something great. Well, are you prepared for the Fever to set the WNBA on fire? If you have been in the dark, it's high time to join the team's fan base because this team is on the rise, and they're not stopping anytime soon. What do you think of the miracle that the Fever has made? Will Caitlin Clark and Lexie Hull keep on shining? Of course, don't forget to share your opinions in the comment section below, and don't forget to share this video with your fellow Fever supporters.